Welcome back, our dear viewers, and now with our second distinguished guest for today. Inclusive education and community-based rehabilitation are not just disability issues, they are community issues. They reflect how we build a society where every person has the opportunity to learn, participate, and contribute. As Kuwait continues to advance in inclusion, this conversation highlights both the progress made and the opportunities ahead. For this reason, please welcome with me our distinguished guest, Sarah Aman, educational consultant and expert in inclusive education. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you. Good morning to you, Mirzo.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good, alhamdulillah.
That's really awesome. So let's start or begin with one of the questions or like the approaches that a lot of people think they know, but they don't really know that much, which is inclusive education. So what does it really mean?
Well, inclusive education system means that we, as schools and as an education system, we stay away from one-size-fits-all kind of curriculum and try to cater for different abilities, different learning styles, and how to make sure that we include everyone in the classroom to make sure we reach the objective. So it has a lot of differentiation.
Okay.
It needs a lot of effort. It needs working smart and not working hard within the classroom. And it needs a pretty solid infrastructure and education and, of course, leaders that has a very clear vision towards inclusive education.
That's really awesome and very good approach. So we can include all students without distinguishing between them.
Exactly.
That's really awesome. So why this concept beyond educational wise, why is it important for Kuwait in the future?
Well, Kuwait already signed in 2010
okay.
With Geneva for inclusive education and implementation of that in the GCC, focusing on Kuwait. In 2010, we also, as a Kuwait, we changed some laws to make sure we include all special needs within the society. However, the infrastructure is there, the support and the financial support is there. We need the proper implementation. And before all of that, attitudes and change of culture and awareness is the only thing that takes a lot of time. Yet Kuwait has shown a great progress
really awesome.
In that fact. Yeah.
That's really awesome. So what's one of the challenges that you find when you are trying to impose such culture so the people they can really benefit from and understand in the long term?
Kuwaiti culture is very empathetic and very emotional, and as good as that piece is, sometimes it can become a challenge when we're fixated on the emotional piece, when we're fixated on feeling sorry or feeling pity or being too emotional when it comes to individuals with special needs. Where the matter of fact are those individuals are tougher and stronger than most of our mainstream society. Once you get to know them, once you get to know their day-to-day challenges and how they overcome it.
And even giving them the opportunity.
Exactly. So if you're asking me, the challenges in the Kuwaiti culture would be moving away from the emotional perspective
yes.
to how do we make sure that they're included in the society? How do we make sure that we're all working together according to our abilities, at the same time making sure that we're not setting anyone for failure?
That's really awesome. And also seeing them as an equal part, not as someone they need assistance or help on the long term.
Exactly.
That's really amazing. And they're looking at the statistics, there have been 16% of them in the society. So what does that tell us about mainstream? Should we view it as a mainstream or something that major than mainstream?
So 16% goes worldwide. When we're talking about Kuwait and its small population, it increases. So disabilities, if we're now talking about the word disabilities and not special needs, we're talking about a very significant increase worldwide about disabilities. So part of it is because there is an awareness, and there are people that can clearly diagnose what the situation is. So we are increasing with numbers due to awareness. Another piece is due to a lot of population issues, unhealthy habits, intermarriages, family marriages, and a very big spike happened with the number of disabilities in the world due to the wars, especially in Palestine. So wherever there is a war, there is an increase of disabilities due to certain...
Makes sense, exactly.
Yeah, so the number is really spiking up pretty significantly. And here we need to be careful on how to make sure that we are categorizing each disability and working accordingly, because there isn't a lump sum for everybody's special needs or everybody's disabled. Exactly.
Yes, definitely. And that's something like really important to notice and pay attention to. Because in the beginning we were talking about paying attention to the small details, and in this case paying attention to the small details will make a huge impact in the long term. And what are some of the biggest misconceptions? I know you talk about like the emotional side for people when they are like viewing people with disability. Is there like other misconceptions that during your work experience you have encountered with people when they are looking at like disabilities?
Right. So there's a misconception about we want to do that person good by trying to just put their name on the work list and have them come and sign they're here. But please just go back home and stay and relax and enjoy your day. This is a misconception where we were supposed to have that person, just like everyone in the workplace, work at their maximum capacity, make sure that we're putting the right tools in the box. So that means that person is ready to be in this environment, working environment, is trained to be in this work environment. At the same time, the work environment is aware, there is an awareness. So what we've noticed over the years that individuals with special needs are ready. So if you train them well, and if you have them attend and have
proper orientation.
Exactly. They're ready to work at their full capacity, and they really show a great progress in their workplace. However, we noticed that the workplace individuals are not ready for that.
Not ready.
A lot of the individuals of the society never worked with a person with special needs. Encountered them. They barely know any information. So awareness plays a big role to make sure that both sides are ready to work together in the right manner.
That's definitely like something that we need to pay attention to, especially those who are working. If you have like a colleague with like disability, then instead of having like a pity or like emotional side, just give them the support and the opportunity, and you're gonna be amazed at how capable they are and how amazing they will do. And moving from like the work side to the school itself, you know, like some people, or like especially like parents, they think when there are like some students with disability in a mainstream that could affect the whole group experience. So misconceptions regarding that.
That's a great misconception, and it's important here the role of the administration in the school, the role of the teacher itself, the facilitator in the classroom, and again, awareness plays a big role.
And as like a general director, how do you see that? Like
so it's very important to make sure all layers of the school, it's like an onion, many layers there, everybody's ready to work with an inclusive education system, starting from the security guard all the way to the principal, all the way to the director, including teachers, paraprofessionals, the nannies, the cleaners, everybody in there. So what I really mean is we want to make sure that the curriculum itself is ready and differentiated and has different tiers to work with different abilities to reach the same objective that they need to reach within that grade level. 1. 2, we need to make sure that the person who's communicating or delivering this curriculum is capable and has the background and knowledge to teach students with different abilities, and most probably special ed and mainstream.
Especially when it comes to like the activities themselves.
Exactly.
Like making sure like everyone can participate.
Exactly.
Especially if they are kind of physical sometimes.
Exactly. And then third of all, which is a very important point, is the awareness. So if we are aware that we can all learn from each other, it will make a huge difference, because again, just like there's a student with special ed or learning difficulty in that classroom might have obvious challenges, there are also very much hidden challenges with other mainstream students. So being aware of what are my challenges, how am I going to overcome it, and how do I work with it? Like, for example, I had a student that had stuttering, and it was a big issue for that student to speak up and to have oral presentation, to speak up, to even make friends. With time and with working and building the confidence and having the proper intervention, with that student, the student was very much aware of his case. He started talking about his case, and he came to a day where he gave a presentation to the rest of his classmates about what is stuttering, how can you help a person with stuttering, and highlighting one of the misconceptions. For example, he was like, please, if you see me stutter on one word, do not finish it for me. That frustrates me.
I see that a lot.
So just give me time and I will do I remind myself to do certain techniques or prolong certain words and continue talking. So, and that really made a big difference for his peers in the classroom.
And I like how he become like acceptance to his case.
And this is
he
very
become
important.
proud talking about it.
Yes, yes. Therefore, others started to come up and speak about certain challenges nobody was aware of. And it really
inspired them.
Exactly, made a very good coherence between the group itself. It made them bond better.
That's really awesome.
And guess what? It decreases bullying in significant ways.
And that's really take us like to, or like the focus to one of the questions, you know, which is like how inclusive education can benefit all students rather than just people with disabilities.
Well, this is the nature of humans. We're supposed to be all-inclusive. So when we have a full family in the house, we have somebody with Down syndrome, let's say, we have somebody who has different abilities, so we're all supposed to be together, right?
Yes.
So humans decided one day to segregate and put some people in different places for some reasons, categorize them, label them, and we reached to a point where we're done with that phase, I hope, that people really thought that some disabilities are contagious, okay? So we moved from that to the natural environment of trying to be together and work differently, making sure our environment is ready to cater for our needs. For example, in schools per se, we have a code of engineering of disabilities, where you want to make sure you're building a school anyways. So you want to make sure that the hallways are ready for wheelchairs, the elevators are ready, there are rails in case, because guess what? Even the mainstream students, one day that student will break his leg, won't be able to walk. You want to make sure that the place is ready. So infrastructure-wise, we need to do that.
Yes.
And then other than that, we are able to really live together if we, as I said earlier, make sure that there is awareness, there is a good know-how to implement inclusive education, and not the great misconception. Another one is just to put everybody in the same place and say we have inclusion. Yeah. Definitely,
definitely. And as you know, like education may plant the seed, but the community and the society determines whether that seed can grow, flourish, or whether it's going to be at the same spot. And that brings me to another concept, which is like rehabilitation-based CBR, I believe.
Yeah, community-based rehabilitation is very crucial. So what we really focus on is having this individual, just like any individual, and that's the right way, ready from school to be in the community and to make sure that they work at their best capacity and live the best life they can live. So starting from school, having a program that caters for different abilities, caters for the culture we live in, which is Arabic program, within the religion we are in, the location geographically, all of that, and make sure by the time that they are working on the vocational piece, they are really going out for training. So for example, if I say Marzouk is really good at building things, so I make sure that within the school curriculum at the last 3 years, I make sure Marzouk goes and starts doing the practical part in school. The
In school.
practical part with certain companies that we have collaboration with, and we make sure that you go and practice the technical piece
That's
there.
really awesome. Is it kind of like internship somehow?
It is like an internship, but it's built in within the
Within the program.
curriculum itself.
Within the curriculum?
Yes.
That's creative.
Exactly. So what happens is by the end of the year before Marzouk graduates, what we have is headhunting from those companies saying, listen, please, Marzouk, we really want to make sure that he works with us once he graduates.
Amazing.
And Marzouk is already ready for
Yes.
this workplace. Guess what? The people who are in that workplace are ready to accept Marzouk and are already familiar on how to work with it. And what's important is there is a transitional period. So it's important to have, a part of CBR is to transitional from the schooling to the workplace, meaning that I would pair a mentor with that person, with
Okay.
you, to make sure that at the very beginning we're ready to work. I'll shadow you in a certain way to make sure that you're following up with HR, where you're following up with your work, you're following up with your tasks, and then there are frequent check-ins with you as you
That's
go.
really awesome. So instead of you competing with your peers for like the best companies that you can get in, the companies now they are competing between them to have you. That's really amazing. Very creative, very amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah Aman, educational consultant and expert in inclusive education, for your valuable insight and for the great work that you are doing to make sure everyone is being like in the same vision towards a better future for the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And now, dear viewers, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to be back. Stay tuned.